recording?
You ready?
Yes. Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Life After Infidelity. I am your host, Briaina LaTrice, and favorite affair recovery coach. And I am so excited because, again, we got another amazing podcast episode here live at the Podcast Summit 2024. And I halted down one of my MMU family members, and I am so excited. I have Miss Brea. It's Brea, right?
It's
Okay,
Brea,
because I used to
yeah.
always say Brea because my name is Brea.
Everybody says Brea.
And then
It's
when you
Brea, though.
corrected somebody, I think you did it today on the slide or yesterday.
Yeah, I did.
You was like Brea. I was
It's
like,
Brea.
okay, noted. It's Brea. Because when I yelled at you, I almost said Brea, but I was like, I heard her correct somebody this morning, honey. So let me get it together. But yes, you are here on the show. I hunted you down, and I am so excited. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
It's so funny because you were like, y'all, this is really, really impromptu. And you were like, well, I asked you, what do you want to talk about? And you was like, I don't know. And so I want to talk about this. You mentioned on one of the MMU calls that you are going through a divorce, and what really caught my attention was just the loneliness. And so many women who, like, that's one of their fears. Like, I have a friend right now, she's going through that, and she's been teetering and tottering with getting a divorce or not, because it does mean that she's going to be alone. And so I guess kind of talk about that. How are you navigating this loneliness era, coming out of divorce? So let me ask you this first. How long were y'all together?
So our 7-year anniversary is actually Sunday.
Oh,
So we
wow.
would legally be married for 7 years, but we've been separated a little over a year and a half.
Okay.
So yeah.
And how long did y'all date?
We dated 2 years. Two
Okay.
years prior to getting married.
So
Yeah.
altogether, almost 9 years,
Right.
basically.
Right. That's a long time. It's
Yeah.
almost a decade, to be with somebody.
Exactly.
hmm
How old are you?
I am 31. I'll be 32 in November. So the majority of my 20s were
That's
spent,
the
yeah.
exact reason why I asked that, because I got with my ex-husband when I was 19 and left at 31.
Okay.
And that's a whole nother fear, because it's like your most of your adulthood, like your
You were a
20s,
baby.
you were a baby. You know
You
what
were
I'm
a
saying? And so
baby.
it's like, okay, now coming out of your 20s and
Yes,
early 30s, like, there is a lot of unknown,
for sure.
and that creates a lot of fear.
hmm Yeah.
So, yeah, go
So
ahead.
you asked me how have I been navigating
Yeah, the
the
loneliness
loneliness, right?
aspect of it.
So if I can be like break it down and be simple, I would say I'm navigating the loneliness by falling in love with myself again.
Girl, you speaking. You speaking for real though.
I know, honestly, like physically, I'm not alone. I have 3 children,
Okay,
so I'm
okay.
not physically alone. But
Yeah.
from your experience and being in a relationship or being in a marriage, you're used to sleeping next to somebody, every
That
night.
cuddle get real. I just pal on my
Man,
pillows now, but it's fine.
man, I'm like, hot girl summer is cool, but it gets cold at night. You know what I mean? So you miss that aspect. So when I say like loneliness in those terms is what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
physically I'm not, lonely, or you have that person that you watch TV with. Like, I'm a Martin fan, I want to watch Martin with somebody. So navigating that is in those moments. My kids go to bed, we have a tight schedule. My
Okay.
kids go to bed at 7:30.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
Brea,
girl, I don't play.
the sun's still up though.
I don't care. We get up at 5. Well, I get up at 5. My kids get up at 5:30,
Okay.
and they're not morning people, especially my little people. They're
How
not
old are
morning
your
people.
kids?
My oldest is 12.
Okay.
I have a 5-year-old, and then I have a 2-year-old son.
Okay.
So my
Okay.
2 older, they're girls.
Okay.
Then my baby boy is 2. So our schedule is so tight. They go to bed at 7:30 because we have to wake up so early, and they're not morning people.
Yeah.
But more so from 7:30 to 10 when I go to bed, that's my time.
Yeah.
That's mommy's time.
Mhm.
So when the separation first started, girl, from 7:30 to 10, I would be in shambles, like
Really?
crying, because when the marriage was good, that's the time that we would spend together. So I was used to,
That
having a person.
companionship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when stuff hit the fan, I'm like, well, what do I do with myself now?
Mm-hmm.
From 7:30 to 10 o'clock. So
Right.
spent a lot of those days crying, because I'm like, what the heck? But going through therapy, I have learned from 7:30 to 10 now, that is my time
Okay.
where I am falling back in love with myself.
Mhm.
I'm journaling. I'm doing all the self-care things. You know, I'm a licensed esthetician, so
Okay.
I'm doing all the self-care things. Girl, I'm giving a facial to myself. I'm doing
Ooh,
the
I love that.
pedicures. I'm
Yeah.
drinking some wine. I'm eating
Mhm.
popcorn like Olivia Pope. Like I'm doing all of the things, and you
Yeah.
don't realize how in 9 years or 10 years how much you can lose yourself and you can just
Mhm.
forget about the things that you enjoy to do.
Mhm.
Like, I have rediscovered my love for reading. I love to read. So a lot of the times from 7:30 to 10, I'm spending that time reading. That's the best that I can answer that question is, filling that the times where I would be lonely, filling that in with things that I like to do, rediscovering those hobbies
Mhm.
that I like. I love to skate.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
just filling in
Yeah.
that time.
Mhm. You like you said so much, and I want to ask you this question. What was the first moment, and I'm sure you broke down in this moment, but that first moment where you realized, like, shoot, I am alone or I don't have him anymore? Because you talked about those experiences of, like, watching Martin. And so, or
Yeah.
even like if y'all aren't together, but you would still just be like, oh, let me text him real quick and be like, did he
Yeah.
see that? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Talk about that. What was that first moment where you were just like, man, this is
So,
real?
man, so we separated. It was September 9th, 2022. I will never forget the day when
Okay.
when he moved out. And the moment for me when I realized, like, dang, I am really alone, it wasn't a moment where it was like, oh, I'm watching Martin and I wish he was here, or I'm cooking his favorite thing and I wish he was here to eat it. October, that following month, I fell at my salon and dislocated my kneecap. So
Mm.
when I got home, luckily my mom was in town because my 5-year-old was sick. It was crazy. Like,
Yeah.
my mom had to leave though because my
Yeah.
mom lives in Ohio. That's where I was born and raised. And when she left, it was me on crutches and a knee brace with three small children, and they were still in school, at this time. So my oldest, she can walk, talk. My 5-year-old can walk, talk. I get them off the bus. And my baby boy at the time, he was about 9, 10 months. He can't walk, can't talk. And I'm like, oh crap, I need to get him up the street to daycare. This lady up the street, 4 houses down, used to watch my son. I'm like, how am I gonna get him up the street because I can't walk? Like,
Yeah.
I'm on crutches.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I have to. Like, he has to get up there some kind of way. So my neighbor is a nurse and she had like this little walker thing that she let me use to like navigate around the kitchen so I could still cook for the kids.
Okay.
So, girl, I didn't put baby boy on my lap and I wheeled myself up 4 houses up the street to take him to the daycare. So that gets tiring on your legs because I live
Yeah.
on a hill.
Mhm.
The next day, I used my baby carrier and I put him in the baby carrier and I just hopped his little butt up right
Mhm.
up the street on my crutches.
Mhm.
And it was in that moment, like mid swing, hopping him up the street, that I was just like, dang, like this is real. I am alone. Like, that's when it really hit me. Like, you're legit a single parent now. Like,
Yeah.
there's no one that
Mhm.
you can call
Mhm.
because outside of him, I'm out in Texas, no family, no friends. So I'm like, there you are by yourself. So
Mhm.
that's really when it hit me. It
Mhm.
wasn't like a small moment
Mhm.
of like watching Martin or
Mhm.
eating popcorn. It was that big moment where I'm
Yep.
like, it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Like a ton
Yeah.
of bricks. So yeah.
Mhm. Cause so baby boy
Mm-hmm.
is both of you all's child,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes.
So then what made you not reach out? Because it's like it's his baby too, so he
Yeah.
can take on the responsibility to help
Yeah.
out.
That's the thing, Brianna. I did reach out. I did reach out and I said,
Oh.
hey, I can't do this by myself. I can't bathe the kids because I have stairs in my house. I can't walk up the stairs. And the help was just not there. It was more so like a, well, figure it out. Like, we're separated now. So when I have them, that's my time and I'll take care of them. And when you have them, that's your time and you need to figure it out. So that's what I did. I figured it out. I hopped him up the street.
Really? So do you feel like that was a ploy though to just kind of get back at you or
It may
still
have been.
anger and stuff or
It may have been. It may not have been. to this day, I mean, I will never know. I'm just happy that I was able to overcome that. And
Right.
like thinking back on it, as crazy as this sound, I am thankful for all of the experiences that I had in the marriage and in the separation, because in that moment I'm reminded now when I go through a tough time, like, girl, if you could hop your baby up the street, or you could put that baby on your lap and slide your butt
Right.
up the stairs to give that baby a bath and sit on the floor and give that baby a bath. Like, if you can do that and slide down the stairs with him, you could do anything.
You just recalling like all the stuff, like just how bad you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
are that girl. Like
Mhm.
you can do it. So even though it was tough in the moment and I cried all the way up the street and all the
As
way
you
back,
should.
all the way
As
up
you
the
should
stairs and all the
have.
way down, like
Yeah.
I cried the entire time. But like now looking back, I'm like, thank God for
Mhm.
that moment, because it made me who I am
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So did you go off on him when he was like, "I'm gonna take care of," you know, like what was your response in that moment?
In that moment, I was just like, all right, bruh. Uh-oh, my camera. I didn't know it would lock. There we go. Did I have to hit record on my
Yeah,
camera?
hit record.
So
Are we
in
record?
that,
Okay,
yeah, you
yeah.
good. So in that moment, if I'm honest, I don't recall. I might have given him a little sass, little attitude, like, all right, bruh. But I don't recall it being a huge explosion. There's other things that I've had like a huge explosion about, but I don't recall in that moment like completely going off, but definitely expressing my disappointment. Like, okay, it's not
Yeah.
like I'm asking you to do this because I don't want to. I physically cannot. Like, I'm on
Yeah.
crutches here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was just a big moment of another disappointment where it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
but I got it. I'm
Yeah.
going to figure it out like I always do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason why I asked that too is because someone sent me a video of a woman had just found out her husband was cheating on her,
Mm,
and she flushed his mom's remains down the toilet.
yikes.
Like, come on now. And so, that's what I was thinking. Like, what's the difference between expressing well, let me say this then, because you have said there have been moments where you
Oh, for
went
sure.
off versus expressing your emotions.
Mm,
What was the difference between like what made you just go in and then what
yeah.
made you just be like, all right, bruh?
Yeah, so for me, the difference between those two moments, what is coming to mind immediately is you can do anything to me. Well, now I don't agree with that. But like at the time where my mind was, it's just like, hurt me, that's fine because I'm a big girl and I can deal with it. But when it comes to my kids,
Mm-hmm.
no, absolutely not. So the difference is like when you do something to me, again, I'm going to figure it out. But
Yeah.
when there's something done that affects my children,
Mm-hmm.
that is where I draw the line. And that's like the last time that I can remember really like exploding. I didn't dump anybody's remains,
Right.
but like the yelling, the screaming, that like that's the last time that I can remember like really going off the deep end is, something was affected my child that I was just like, yeah, no, the mama bear in me will come out and I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So you say you're 30 now.
31.
31.
Hmm.
And then you guys have been separated for about a year.
About a year and a half. We separated in 2022, so we're coming up on two
Okay.
years. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you were in your late 20s,
Yep.
getting ready to transition into 30. So it's
Yep.
like all of these thoughts in your mind
Yes.
about getting ready to leave. And
Hmm.
I ask that because it's so important. A lot of women who are, what I'm finding is that a lot of women in their 20s are so ashamed to talk even about their experiences of being cheated on by partners and things like that.
Yeah.
And so, even to just hear you have the courage in your 20s still with three babies and being able to leave,
Yeah.
what really gave you the courage to be like, you know what, enough is enough?
Yeah. I think what gave me the courage, because the thoughts don't come just overnight. Like, it's not
Mm-hmm.
like you wake up one day and you're like, I'm leaving. You know, you have those thoughts when things happen over and over and over and over again, and you talk yourself out of it. Or you're
Mhm.
like, well, maybe if I do this, it'll get better. Or if I pour a little bit more of
Yep.
myself, it'll get
Yep.
better. If
Yep.
I
Yep.
if I just be better, it'll get better.
Yeah.
But I think the defining moment for me is there was another big thing that happened, and I thought to myself, I said, do you want to, because you have to take people for face value. Like,
Mhm.
what you're presenting to me now is what I should expect, or how I should expect you to believe. I do believe that all people have the ability to change, but you have to want to change.
Yeah, for
So I
sure.
thought to myself, if this is how the marriage is for the rest of my days, when I'm on my deathbed, would I be fulfilled? Would I be happy? Do I feel like I can live in my purpose if I live like this for the rest of forever? My answer was no. And then I I don't know how spiritual you are, but in those moments with my business and everything that I have going on, I prayed about this. I prayed about leaving Brianna. Like,
Yeah.
is this the decision that I should make?
Uh huh.
Like, is is this the path that you want me to take? I prayed
Yeah.
about that for months.
Mhm.
And the answer that I would constantly get is, where I'm taking you, he cannot go. Where I'm
Mm.
taking you, he cannot
That's
go.
a big.
Where I'm
That's
taking you,
yeah.
he cannot go. So I feel like after that big blow up, that was my deciding thing. Like, no, I don't want to live the rest of my life like this.
Mhm.
No, I don't feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose if I stay in this. Um, the thing of, where I'm taking you, he can't go. And then also my children. I have two girls. If I stay, because things just got progressively worse, if I stay in this marriage, in this relationship, and they see me being disrespected, and then you take them back, and then you disrespect it, and you take them back, and you just, what am
Mhm.
I teaching my daughters?
Yeah.
And at the time, my 5-year-old was maybe like 2,
Mhm.
but my 12-year-old was then 10. So I'm like, she's old enough to see, and
Yeah.
she's asking me questions in the private time about
Oh
like
wow.
what's
About what's
happening.
going
Yeah,
on
what
and
is
everything
happening.
like that.
Correct. And then my son, although he was a baby, I'm like, if I stay in this for another 10, 20 years, when he becomes a young man,
He'll think.
what am I teaching
Yeah.
him? Am
Yeah.
I teaching him that this behavior is okay? And
Mhm.
it's not.
Mhm.
So that alone, just my children, was a huge deciding factor. And like, you have to show them something different. Although being a single mom is going to be hard, but do you want them to see a single mom who is disrespected, or do you want them to see, or a mom who's disrespected in a marriage, or do you want them to see a single mom who is at peace, who
Yep.
loves herself, who
Yep.
pours into herself,
Yep.
and still chases her dreams?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
I
do you
don't
want to show?
think. I don't think. Sometimes we realize how much we're modeling to our babies. And I love what you're speaking about in the take that you have, because so many people talk about, oh, well, I stayed in the
Stay for the kids.
relationship for the sake of the kids,
Them kids
but
don't
not,
want to see that.
they don't want to see it.
They don't want to see it.
And you don't realize that you're causing more damage to them.
Correct.
And then, like you said, your baby was 10 at the time, and she was asking you questions secretly. And
Right.
what people don't realize is, I had another person on the interview, and she said that too. Her daughter was 12 at the time, and she said she was driving her daughter to school one day, and her daughter said, "Mom, Dad's cheating on you. Why won't you leave?" And she thought she had did a good
Thought she was
job.
hiding it. Yeah. And that's
So I
tough.
love how you're saying that you have to make whatever hard decision, because it's gonna be hard.
It's gonna be
Either they
hard
gonna
either way.
either way,
Mhm.
right? But which hard do you want to make now?
Yeah.
Because each hard is going to have residual effects. But
Correct.
one is either going to elevate your children and your babies and you, or one is going to take y'all to a place that you don't even want to go, right?
Exactly.
And so I like what you're saying about, you did it for your kids,
Yeah.
but you did the hard thing for your kid.
Yeah, and it was no easy decision. Even now,
Hmm.
after separation, my youngest two are biologically his. My oldest is not,
Okay.
biologically his, which was a whole nother thing. I'm like, she can't, not only is he not her biological father, but like, you just can't see me being treated
Hmm.
any kind of way. And like you said, either decision is hard. And
Mhm.
even in separation now, my little ones, they will ask questions. Why doesn't
Oh,
daddy
really?
live here anymore? Why
Yeah.
doesn't, and
Yeah.
that's really tough to navigate, because
Mhm.
you want to explain like we're not going to be together, but there's no malice, there's no malice in my heart or anything like that. This is just our reality now. So
Yeah.
either, like you said, either way, whatever you choose is going to be hard, but I say always make the decision that you can be at peace with
Yep.
at the end of the day.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's good. That was one thing that my mother-in-law told me early on in the marriage. She was like, "Whatever decision you make sure you have peace with
Make
it,"
sure you have peace
and
with it
that's
and you can be
so
happy with it.
important. That's
Hmm.
so important. And I want, because you said something important. I want you to speak to um, mothers. How do you have those conversations, but on their level, to get them to understand, like when they ask those difficult questions? Kind of like, what is your method to answering those questions to the
Yeah.
babies?
So this literally just happened to me recently. I kid you not, like a week and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in the kitchen cooking dinner, and my 5-year old is like,
Okay, hold on, because now my thing saying my storage is full.
did you hear resume? Okay. So like a week and a half ago, my baby girl, my 5-year old,
Uh-huh.
I'm in the kitchen, and she asks me, she says, "Why doesn't Daddy live here anymore?"
Mm-hmm.
Completely left field. Like we haven't talked about this in a long time. And I said, he doesn't live here anymore because we're not together. I'm really honest with my
Yeah.
kids, but I'm never going to bash their father. My
Right.
babies are obsessed with him. They love him.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, he doesn't live here anymore because we're not together. So daddy has his place, and we have ours. She asked me, she said, is it because you're mad at him that he can't live here?
Yeah.
I said, I'm not angry with your dad. I said,
Uh-huh.
I love your dad because he loves you guys. I'm not angry. We just live separately now. So I think when they're that young, the little ones are 5 and 2, just keeping it really surface level, but also not lying to them. So it's
Exactly.
like that's the truth. I told her the truth,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not gonna go into detail. And your dad did A, B,
Yeah,
and
your
C. Da, 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 da,
daddy.
da.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
would never. I would
Mm-hmm.
never. It's up to them or up to him to have the relationship and build that relationship with his children. It's not up to me to cultivate or destroy
Yeah.
that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
how I navigate it, at least while they're small.
Yeah.
And she took that answer, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my son, he's just small. He's just like,
Uh-huh.
where's
Uh-huh.
daddy at? And I'm like, daddy's
Yeah.
at his house, or daddy's at work, or
Uh-huh.
whatever. So that's how I navigate it while they're small. Now
That's
when they
good.
when they get older and they start asking me all the questions, I'm like, ooh, I don't know what I'll do. We'll cross that
Yeah.
bridge when we get there.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what, so your oldest though, because like
Mhm.
you said, she was able to see some of those things.
Mhm.
Um, what was that conversation, or did she say anything to you about like she was glad you left and that you met, like how was that conversation?
We had a moment. So my oldest, her father is very involved in her life, so she leaves every summer. She goes back home every summer, and a lot of things were happening during the summer, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. Like we have to physically separate from each other because this is no good. She comes home, and before we get in the car to go to the house, I told her, I said, listen, him and we're going to get a divorce. The house is going to look a bit different. Things are going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm here. I love you. We're going to navigate this. We're going to be okay.
Yeah.
She cried,
Oh.
because he's been in her life since she was 3,
Yeah.
like right before her 4th birthday.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he's been a father figure to her, up
Mm-hmm.
until that point. And she was sad. She was so sad.
Did you
Bec-
expect that?
Not to the extent that she was sad. Like I expect, because
Yeah.
her father is still involved. I'm like, you're
Uh-huh.
not really missing out on anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you live in a house with a person, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't understand. I didn't expect like the magnitude that she would be affected.
Yeah.
She cried almost the whole way home, like an hour drive.
That's
So
hard.
yeah, so we got through that, but at the time we were still like living in the same house. We hadn't physically separated from each other, but when we did physically separate from each other, things were really bad, like towards the end. And later on, I would say maybe like 2 to 3 weeks after the whole move out, we were having dinner, and she said, I understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she said, I understand why you chose to be separate because she's seen everything, she heard everything that happened in the the big move out and all of that.
Uh-huh.
She said, I understand, mom, and I'm
Wow.
not upset.
Well, did that take
And
you out?
yeah,
Because that would
and
have
she
took
was
me
just,
out.
yeah, she we were having dinner, and she was just like, and I actually kind of like this with it
Because of the
just being
peace
us.
that she
Yeah,
probably gets to feel
yeah.
too.
She's like, it's quiet, and you seem okay. You seem
Yeah.
happier. And I
Yeah.
just told her, I said, we are gonna be okay.
Hmm.
And girl, I went in my closet and booed, booed after that,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
see,
They see and
whether
they
you,
feel it. I think
yes,
that's the
they
most
feel the
important part.
tension.
Even when you try to hide it,
Sure.
they can still feel
A
it.
100%, a
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah, we're
That's
navigating
good.
slowly but surely.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like you're doing a really good job of just being
Thank you.
present and navigating it as it comes
Thank you.
through. Because I think that a lot of things that paralyze people too is they try to think so far ahead.
Yeah.
Like I was telling somebody the other day, like they were like, "Well, I don't even know what this is gonna look like. This is gonna look." I'm like, "But
And you
why?
won't. And you won't.
Don't worry about that."
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's going to keep you in that fear of you always trying to think, I gotta plan ahead, I gotta know
Yeah.
what's next, I gotta know what's next. Just take the step. Because I am a believer, and that's one thing that I take pride in is I always say God honors steps. And it doesn't matter if it's the right step or the wrong step, but you just take a step and God is going to continue to guide your steps. He just needs you to take the
He just
action.
needs you to
That's
take a
it.
step.
That's it. It don't
Hmm.
matter which direction it is.
Yeah.
He can work with motion. He can't
Yes.
work with anything that's
If you're
not
not
moving if
moving,
you're not moving,
right?
right? Because he can
Right.
turn that thing around, but you got to be moving for him to navigate it to that
Yeah.
way. And so I just want you, before we get out of here, to speak to the woman who is, in their mid to late 20s, maybe getting ready to enter into their 30s, and they're just afraid. They're afraid of this new normal and what that's going to look like, but they know that they need to leave. They know that it's unhealthy. They know that they don't have the peace. They're afraid of the unknown. What would you say to them?
Oof. I would say, oh, there's a lot of things, dear. I would say breathe, breathe. Like you get so caught up in, like you said, the unknown, the fear of the unknown. Just breathe and take the step and trust that everything is gonna work out. I know, like, people laughed at her when she said this, Glorilla, when she said, at the end of the day got to end. Like,
Yeah,
that is a fact. At the
yeah.
end of the day, there were times when I separated, when I decided to leave, that I feel like I was surviving hour by hour. Like, if
Oh,
I could just get through the next hour, if I could
yeah,
just get through the next hour, if I could
yeah.
just get through the next hour. And at the end of the day, you're going to be fine. As long as you have breath in your body, you are going to be okay, regardless of what that looks like on the outside.
Mhm.
So my best advice would be just to take the first step and to trust God, and He is going to figure it out.
Mhm.
He will order your steps. Like,
Mhm.
He is going literally, He will
Yeah.
order your steps, and you will be just fine. But take
Yeah.
a moment to breathe, and when you're at a place of safety, find peace. Find peace in where you are. Even it may be tough. Things are still tough for me right now. So just find peace
Yeah.
in where you are and find that happiness in the moment. And that, it's easier said than done,
Mhm.
of course. But if you have to think of it, like, if I could just get through the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be okay. If I
Yeah.
could get through the next hour.
Yep.
I was in that space for a very long time,
Okay.
for months on end.
Mhm.
And now I'm fine. There is life, and a beautiful life, on the other side of
Yeah.
divorce or choosing to leave
Yep.
a dysfunctional relationship.
Yep,
So
yep, yep,
yeah,
yep.
that's my best
Yeah,
advice.
which is
Yeah.
exactly why I named it Life After Infidelity, because
Yes,
there is
I love
definitely
that.
life.
There is life afterwards, but when you're
Yeah,
going through it, you don't feel that.
right.
You feel like it's the end of the world, but
Hmm.
I'm here to say it's not the end of
It's
the
not the
world.
end of the
Like, you will
world.
be okay.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us, what is life after divorce like?
Beautiful.
Hmm.
Life after divorce is beautiful, and it is peaceful.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'm still legally, it'll be over very soon, but life after divorce, I would definitely say, is beautiful and it's peaceful as long as you put the work in.
Yep.
Because there's a whole different side to
Bitter.
that as well. You can be
Mhm.
bitter, and that was one of my main things I wanted to focus on. I did not want to leave the marriage legally with malice in my heart or any
Mhm.
bitterness in
Mhm.
my heart. I can honestly say to this day, I hold no malice. And I'm very
That's
thankful
good.
for every experience that I had because it made me who I am today. So you can go on and live your best life. Your best
Mhm.
life is after that divorce.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
agree 100%. Yeah.
Like you said, like because it can be very beautiful after that,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you don't you continue to hone in and focus on the hurt and the damage that they caused you. Because like you said, what really helps you to move forward is to understand that God has a purpose for all of us, and
Yes.
so this was just a necessary point that
For
needed
sure.
to happen in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like I always tell people, I don't have any malice towards my ex-husband. I'm like, I look at it as that my ex-husband loved me so much that he entered a contract with God in order for me to get to my purpose. Because I wouldn't be doing this work had he not cheated on me. I wouldn't be doing this work had he not broken me down. And so people always ask me, would you go through it again? I wouldn't want to, but I would,
Yeah.
if I knew that it
If it
got
would
me
get
to
me
the
here, yeah.
purpose, to what God has called me to
Yeah.
do. And that's why I love what you have just said. That is so beautiful, is that you understand that it is making you who you are, and that allows you to become a better person and not a bitter person after divorce.
Another word was, that was in my spirit was I now know my purpose. I know I shared on MMU a little while ago. I think we talked about me being afraid to share my story.
Yeah.
And now, like, I know what my purpose is. I know that my story can be so healing and such a blessing to other women
Yep.
who have gone through it, because girl, it gets deep. This was high level, but it gets deep. And I know that my experiences are meant to heal someone else. So in that moment when I told you, the thing that would be ringing in my head is he can't go where you're going. It was also, how are you going to do the healing work with the women that you want to work with if you don't even have any experiences?
For real though,
Where are you
yeah.
going to speak from?
Yeah.
So in those moments when I go through, those hard times, or we have those disagreements, or like towards the end of the marriage, that's what kept me sane. It was just like, okay, when something happens, you have to go through this because there's another woman going through this, and you will be able to give her that message and how to get through it. But when I thought of it that way, I literally laughed because I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, you say you want to work with women and you want to help heal women.
Yep.
How are you going to heal anybody if you haven't been through anything? Make it make sense. That's how me and God talk.
Yeah.
Like, make it
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah.
That don't make
Yeah.
no sense. So
Yeah.
you have to go through to get through. Yeah.
Look, I be mad at my future clients whenever I'm going through something that's painful. I be like, oh my gosh, what, Jesus, why do you have to go through this? Because I
Yeah.
understand that it's
Mhm.
bigger than me. So,
Yes.
like you said, anytime I'm going through something, I'm like, man, I understand that this got something to do with
Something to do with
somebody that
Shaniqua,
I
who
got,
is going through
and
something.
I got to help her
Sick of you,
navigate through.
Brittany. Sick of
Like I'm
it.
sick of you. I be legit. And it's so funny. When I get a client who is going through that situation, I'll be like, girl, I'm so mad at you because now
Because
I
it's your
realize
fault.
you were the reason why I had to go through what I
For
had to
sure.
go through.
Yeah.
But that's what true healing looks like.
Yeah.
And so you can tell, like when I have lots of conversations with people, I can tell people who have done the surface level work and then people who have done
Deeper work.
the deeper work, because it looks different, the conversation looks
Yeah.
different, it sounds different, and I love
Feels
it.
different.
It feels
Yeah.
different, yeah, like energetically.
Yeah.
And what you said, I think my biggest takeaway from you today is, once you find safety, then get that peace.
Yep. You
And
gotta
that is
find safety
so
first.
beautiful. You gotta find that
You can't
safety
focus if you're
first.
not safe.
You can't.
You cannot focus because you're in
Mm-mm.
survival mode at that point. Once you get out of survival mode and you find safety, what you should seek next is peace.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I
When
agree.
you say safety, what do you mean exactly?
Um,
Safety from what?
Safety physically, if you're
Okay.
in a domestic violence kind of situation, that's basically what I'm talking about. Seek safety in that way, and also mentally. Like, you have to protect your mental peace. There was one point where I don't feel like I was safe physically or mentally. So when you have someone that, even if it's not like physical, but when you have someone that's gaslighting you on a daily basis, you are not mentally in a safe space
Yeah.
because you're second guessing everything that you do. You're
Mhm.
second guessing your reality.
Mhm.
Like Brianna, you can sit here and smack me in the face. And I'm like, did you just smack me? Like, what did you smack me for? And if you sit there with a
Yeah.
straight face and you say,
I
I
didn't
didn't
smack
touch
you.
you, what are you crazy? I
Right.
would never hit you.
Yeah.
Why do you think that I would hit
Yeah.
you? Like,
Yep.
and you do that over and over and over. You're not in a safe place mentally because you
Mhm.
can't even think straight.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by get to a place of safety first,
Mhm.
mentally and physically, and then seek peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yo.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, this has been so good. Like I keep wanting to ask more questions, more questions. I know your food is served,
I gotta
so
go eat my Philly
yes, ma'am.
cheesesteak, girl.
Yes, well, honey, I'm gonna let you go eat too.
All right.
But before we get out of here, just tell people about the work that you do and where they can find you and how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. So my name is Brea, your Brazilian bestie, and I help people feel beautiful and confident in the skin that they're in by providing intimate skincare services. So I have a solo salon located out in San Antonio. I also have my own skincare product line, soap, scrubs, and body butters that all come with an affirmation. So those products were birthed out of these situations that I was going through because that was a way for me to release without lashing out. So
Mhm.
all of them have a little affirmation in there that you can read and all of that. So yeah, you can find those products on www.breasbeautybar.com, and I'm Brea's Beauty Bar on all socials:
Okay.
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. I'll be
And
on
it's BREA,
Instagram showing out.
right?
Braea, and then
BRAEA.
Beauty Bar.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. And y'all, I'm looking at her skin right now, and it's flawless. So if you
Okay.
So if you're in the Texas area, definitely go on out to San Antonio, honey, and get with Brea, your Brazilian bestie. And
Okay.
so I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me, have this conversation. Now, honey, I'm gonna let you go and eat.
Thank
But
you.
again, I hope that you all gleaned some really great points and takeaways from this conversation. My name is Briaina LaTrice. I am your fair recovery coach. I come as one, but I stand as 10,000 who have experienced the ultimate betrayal of infidelity, letting you know that you are not alone in your journey and there's nothing to be ashamed about. And I'll catch you, beautiful people, in the next episode. Bye.
I love that.